Let's talk about the energy that Kamala has. Does Kamala have the energy of Barack Obama? Boy, not even 1/100th. This video has gone viral, and I'm going to say before we play it, I believe it's probably fake, and I can't imagine this is a real ad for Kamala Harris. I hope you enjoy it. You probably won't, but, well, you'll laugh.
It's good.
I'm a man.
I'm a man, man.
And I'm man enough.
I'm man enough to enjoy a barrel-proof bourbon.
Neat.
Man enough to cook my steak rare.
Man enough to
like that,
deadlift 500, then braid the out of my daughter's hair.
You think I'm afraid to rebuild a carburetor? I eat carburetors for breakfast.
I ain't afraid of bears.
That's what bear hugs are for.
I'll tell you another thing I sure as shit am not afraid of. Women.
I'm not afraid of women.
I'm not afraid of women.
They want to control their bodies? I say go for it.
You want to use IVF to start a family? I'm not afraid of families.
They want to be childless cat ladies?
Have all the cats you want.
Woman wants to be president?
Well, I hope she has the guts to look me right in the eye and accept my full-throated endorsement.
Because I'm man enough to support women.
Man enough to know what kind of donuts I like.
Man enough to admit I'm lost, even when I refuse to ask for directions.
Man enough to not ban young women from reading Little Women.
Or one of those pants books that the sisters like.
I'm man enough to raw dog a flight. It sucked. Not worth it.
I'm man enough to be emotional in front of my wife.
In front of my kids.
In front of my horse.
I'm man enough to tell you that I cry at Love Actually.
Good Will Hunting.
West Side Story.
That and Predator.
And I'm sick of so-called men domineering, belittling, and controlling women just so they can feel more powerful.
That's not how my mama raised me.
I love women.
I love women who support their families.
Women who decide not to have families.
Women who take charge.
And I'm man enough to help them win.
Why do you assume it's fake? I think I've seen official.
It's got the man up, get involved vote. Like,
Okay, that part.
It does say
But
at the bottom.
it says not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee.
Okay.
But
the actual content itself,
right, it's
doesn't-
intended. I think it's actually intended to support Kamala Harris. But I'm saying, like, come on, did somebody make this as like a false flag Kamala Harris ad because it's so awful? I feel like Kamala's share of the black male vote is declining further now, having seen this
because they're sexist.
No, just because it's so bad. I mean,
No, you're sexist. You don't like that clip.
I supported Tulsi Gabbard, and so you know what makes me not want to support someone like Kamala Harris? It's the insincerity and the cringe.
At the end of that, if it was Kamala going, "I'm Kamala Harris," and what the was that? Like that would win. I would be like,
I'd actually.
If it ended with Kamala being like, "This
Man
is
up, guys.
cringiest thing I've ever
Man
seen."
up.
Be men.
self-aware. I thought, okay, look, I got a little bit of a lisp. I don't push my teeth together and go like the way they told me to, but like those guys had lisps. Like they're like, I valued this, and I'm like, okay, it's not super manly. The lisp you could at least fix with like editing or something, or get dudes that don't have minor lisps, unless it's supposed to be a joke.
Okay, men. Wait. First, I'll ask Hannah Claire. When was the last time you cried watching a movie? Like, honestly.
I don't know.
Can't remember?
Like I don't know, maybe 2 years ago.
Do you know what movie it might have been?
No, but I don't watch a lot of movies.
Okay. Men.
When was the last time you cried reading the news?
Well,
Some of the hurricane stuff is brutal.
I cried a couple nights ago.
But men. When was the last time you cried watching a movie? Anybody?
Probably like within the last 3 years.
I think I might have cried when I watched Hachiko with Richard Gere. Maybe.
Interstellar had some sad parts.
Yeah, I cried during that.
I didn't cry at Interstellar.
Near the end of that, at your
And
house in Jersey.
Interstellar, I was a little bit like, But even still, that gave me cancer. That was horrible. And if that convinces you, you're not a man.
I saw you laugh when you talking about the donuts you liked. You were
think
like,
there's
the way the guy in the orange shirt was sitting, I'm like, dude.
I think there's only one acceptable time for a man to cry, and that's when their dog dies.
Of course,
Yes. Look, I mean,
I'm kidding, by the way, but
the whole.
I'm with our cat died, and I hated cats. I didn't even think I liked the thing. I love my dog. I thought I didn't really have a connection to the cat, and then we had to put it down with the kids, and
Brutal.
I teared up for that.
I think the last time I cried was when Mr. Bocas died. Yeah. I was with him there when we brought him in front of the chickens and laid him down, and he got to look at them, and his eyes opened up, and he was looking at the chickens, and it was a beautiful moment. And then he went.
It's acceptable for men to have and express emotions, but you honestly probably shouldn't express them in front of your family or in front of your girlfriend or your wife, Like, that's a time when a man should go ahead and be alone, and it's fine. There's nothing wrong with saying, look, I need a minute. You go ahead and you let a little bit out, and then you go ahead and collect yourself, and then you come back to your family or whatever. But like, you should not cry to your wife unless your mom dies.
So, but what's the argument for that? Because it like shows weakness, or it's unattractive, or what?
No, because honestly, because if you can't keep yourself together, like keep composure, then you seem like you're not competent. And that's one of the things that people look to men for, the competence. If you seem like you can't keep yourself together in a situation that's stressful, then people are going to be like, it's not about, oh, you're weak. It's about your inability to deal with a stressful situation. And again, it's fine to have emotions. Go and take your time. There's nothing wrong with that. But when you're around other people, or if you're around your wife or your woman, if you intend to be the leader of your family, then you shouldn't be crying to your mother unless like your dad dies, your mom dies, those kind of things, the dog maybe, but otherwise, like, don't cry about a movie in front of your girlfriend, because she will leave you.
But unless the dog dies in the movie, in any circumstance. Because like I wept when I watched John Wick.
But is it
like,
worth the risk?
The whole time John Wick was on, I just cried the entire 2 hours. Because as soon as it started, they killed the dog, and I'm like, I'm kidding.
Can't get past it.
I'm kidding, by the way, but I will say, like, depending on the context, I will shut a movie off if they kill a dog.
That's fine.
Like, they're not really killing the dog, but if it's like, if the dog dies heroically, I'll be like, you get that bad guy. But if like they kill a dog, I'll be like, that's bad taste.
Did you see Old Yeller? I've never seen it. I hear it was sad.
Yeah, but Old Yeller is like, the dog had rabies.
I didn't know that.
And it's like, you have no choice.
I think with crying,
that's a
like,
sad story.
if you cry, just let it happen. But if you go to someone else and be like, make me feel better, then you're coming off as really weak. Like, you've got to just let it happen.
I think that there is like a point to, it's important for men to be able to express emotions and also regulate their emotions. Like, we all know guys who fly off the handle in anger, right?
Yes.
In publicly. And that's, to me, as bad as if you were constantly crying and falling apart. Like, there is a dignity in being able to control your emotions. And I will say, to Phil's point, like, if you're freaking out about every little thing to your like wife or girlfriend or whatever else, like, you constantly need your mom to call you, get support, like, yeah, that's not super attractive. But I do think that for women, like, if you are with a strong man and you are the only one who is privileged to the inner circle of his emotions, like, that is also a like position of honor in your relationship. The thing about this script, and if it's written by men to make fun of these men, then they're doing a great job. Otherwise, to me, it is written by woke progressive women who are like, well, men need to get in touch with their feminine side, and they need to like go to therapy all the time, and they need to work through all these things. It's like what they think they want in a man who knows how to express their emotions. And I think that's actually because they're around very few truly masculine men who are comfortable with their emotions.
I got correction. This is a really good point. We got a super chat from Jeddine. I teared up during Sound of Freedom. Yeah, the intro to Sound of Freedom, I was tearing up pretty hard. That movie is epic. But it's been out for a minute, so just so you know, the beginning, and it's rough. It's documenting a kidnapping of children from a dad. It's so brutal, dude. It's hard to watch without crying. The guy is trying to get his daughters a modeling gig. He's really excited. He brings them in, and then they kidnap the daughters for sex trafficking, and he's losing his mind. It's brutal to watch.
That kind of stuff obviously is perfectly fine to express yourself, but like,
you gotta get angry.
I mean, that should be one of the things that you feel. But the idea that anything that they say there is actually about masculinity, that shows that they don't know anything about masculinity. Masculinity at it, especially, and I don't like to say positive or toxic masculinity, because it's all about how you are able to control your emotions and control yourself. There is nothing less masculine than not having control of over your faculties, right? That's why when you see masculine men, thinking about stoic men, not men that don't have feelings, but men that control themselves, that have their bodies and their mind under their own control. That's masculinity. Right. So that isn't lashing out and hurting people. That cannot be considered toxic masculinity. It's having the ability to control yourself until the situation is appropriate. That's masculine.
That's something that'll happen if I'm crying. I'll make sure that I'll stop and then blow my nose and get it all out, because I don't want to get sick from it. I'm controlling myself. I'll let it happen. I'll let the tears come out. I'll make sure that they drain out the eyes because I'm still in control of myself. But I almost want to allow it to happen. But then I'll make sure I fix my posture and blow all the crap out and clean my face so it doesn't get like oxidized because I'm in control.
I got to be honest. I don't know that I cry enough to ever think about it that way.
Yeah,
I'm not trying to be funny.
To be honest, I did not expect to be coming on this show to talk about men crying.
Well,
I'm about to cry.
It's because you're not in touch with being a real man, and you're not going to vote for Kamala Harris.
Look, you're over here crying when you put your cat down. Like you're obviously aware of this as a man.
That was one time, and I remember I felt like, oh God, like, and I was with my wife and kids, and and it like a tear just came out. And I think
like one masculine tear. I get you.
It came out like full flex on the way out.
Sweat out the
thing is, I think you have sons at all. Like
I have 2 sons and 2 daughters.
So there is a level of like you have to be an example of how to be able to be like, yes, this is a very sad moment.
I just didn't think about it. I couldn't
without also being like, I have flown off the handle and I can't control myself.
But even to get past the crying part, right? Like the guy that's sloppy fat, that dude is not in control of his life.
Right.
That is not masculine.
Yeah.
You cannot be a sloppy fat guy and be considered.
But what was the thing about having the morbidly obese guy say he ate carburetors for breakfast? I thought that was in poor taste because they're making fun of him for being fat.
The guys that had like the bad posture, that were crossing their legs, that had body language that communicated that they were not confident. That's not masculine. And these are things that can't be called toxic masculinity. I don't care what
I don't mind
says.
I don't mind a fat dude that makes fun of himself for being fat.
There's nothing wrong with being fat or being overweight, but if you're that fat, you're not a man.
No,
I disagree. I think there is something wrong with being overweight.
No.
I just think the appropriate response is encouragement and positive attitude for people that need help in their lives. Like Lizzo's losing a lot of weight.
That's
great.
great.
She's so cool. I'm really excited. Nothing but positive words for her. She blocked me because I criticized her over the flute thing, but that's whatever.
Yeah, I mean, but
Did you cry about it?
No. I thought about crying, but then I thought it would be in poor taste because my girlfriend was in the room. And
my point being, masculinity, the core of masculinity is about being in control of yourself and having the ability to know yourself and being able to control yourself. And I think that nothing about that says anything about masculinity.
I think about that with alcohol.
It's all superficial masculine. I can build a carburetor. I'm not afraid of doing what my wife tells me.
If you have to posture as masculine, you're probably not that masculine.
Exactly.
Honest question. Which vehicles still use carburetors? Like tractors?
Some, yeah. I mean, and if you build muscle cars, or if you like old vehicles, then that makes sense. But I mean, look, man, if you say, "Hey, I gotta go get a Chilton's book," people look at you like you got a penis growing out of your head.
Dude, as you were saying, like about masculine being in control, I've been thinking about like drinking alcohol and drugs, weed, and like Adderall and all that crap. Like, if you feel like you need a chemical then you're not in control of yourself, and that's like I feel very out of control and not masculine when I'm drunk. I don't like doing it. I haven't touched it in a month and a half or something.
I mean, I quit drinking years ago. So
now you guys are getting personal. Is it because you're Australian?
I don't know. It's because this is a big component of the election right now.
Drinking.
Tim Walz is launching this man campaign. The White Dudes for Harris commercial where they're like, "Are you a man who's scared to vote for a woman? Get over it."
It's all superficial garbage. It's not going to convince any men, probably because it's written by women or not actually masculine men.
Yo, it'd be absolutely hilarious if it's a redonkulous landslide. Like Donald Trump wins 100%, and then it's just the nation realizes literally nobody will vote for a woman.
I mean, I don't think that no one will vote for a woman because, and to be honest with you, if you want to see an example of a good woman leader, look, it was way back in the 80s when Thatcher ran the UK. She was considered the Iron Lady. She stood up to the communists. She was hard. And she did the job the way that a leader should because she was a leader. And it's not about being a man or a woman. It's about being a leader.
Yeah.
You can be a woman leader. Historically, there have been more women that have started wars, more queens that have started wars than actual kings. So like the idea that women can't lead, I don't agree with that. But the idea that someone is just automatically should get the position because they check the right boxes, I think Americans will reject that.
I see what Phil is saying with the kings and the queens thing. It's that the kings didn't have the emotional intelligence that when the conflict was starting to realize it was such a big deal and that everyone should become actively hostile.
Is that an official,
I like where you're going.
Official thing that queens have started more wars than kings? I never heard that.
I don't know the numbers, but I believe that's the case.
Because they have emotional intelligence.
Yeah. They know that it has to.
It's a Ryan Long bit.
They have to override the way they feel.
Look, the Democrats are running a "you're not voting for this woman because you're bigoted and mean men" campaign, when the reality is they just picked a bad woman.
Yeah.
It's not this woman. And that's okay, right? Like, they're not always going to be 10 out of 10. In this case, you picked maybe a 2 out of 10. But I don't think that this idea that you're going to scare men or anyone into voting for her by the idea that you might be bigoted is realistic. I mean, there are plenty of female elected officials in government right now to prove that all kinds of people will vote for women. Just Kamala Harris is the bad choice. And that's kind of the DNC's fault, you know?
Yep. Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.